So the fact is, there are some Canadians who don't exactly see our current Prime Minister as a friend to the arts.
I'm not sure that's something that resonates with ordinary people.
In 2008, the PM famously referred to artists as people who attend rich galas and that the government had to trim some arts funding to stay on budget. Now, here's the interesting paradox. The government's minister responsible for arts and culture, James Moore, is widely seen as a friend by those very same artists because James, born and raised in British Columbia, is many things. Before getting into politics, he worked in radio, first elected as an MP with the Canadian Alliance, and at 24, was the youngest elected MP in British Columbia's history. He loves hip-hop, mixed martial arts, motorcycles, and at one point, he hooked up with other motorcycle-riding MPs. Their name? The Hills Angels, of course, and James doesn't always see eye to eye with his party colleagues, especially on social issues. He's supported same-sex marriage, and contrary to the broader party message, James doesn't see the arts as an add-on. He says arts and culture are an important part of the economy, and that growing the economy means investing in culture.
Please welcome the Honourable Minister, James Moore. All right, good to see you. How are you?
Very good.
Welcome to the show. Welcome.
Thank you.
Were you nervous walking into the CBC today?
Not in the least, not least. It's a know when you're smiling faces at the end of the passageway, and it's always a good time, George.
Well, it is, you know, it is tough times here for sure.
CBC's seen worse times. Look, whenever people lose their jobs, or like, as I said to the president of the CBC on budget day, you know, I'm sure the CBC wished their budget was being increased by 10%, not being reduced by 10%. But CBC's seen tougher days. But I think that the talent that the CBC has and the way that you're going to be able to absorb these cuts over 3 years is going to, I don't think, at the end of the day, affect the quality of the programming that CBC has. And, you know, CBC has a lot to be proud of. I think in some of the recent changes that have been made, CBC Music has been a great addition. The programming has gone well. And I think CBC will be fine. It won't be easy, but I think the CBC will continue to do well.
Yeah, I think the big challenge is that a lot of people think that the CBC is just some corporation. It's not. It's CBC, it's jobs, it's people, right? And that when we lose X amount of dollars and X amount of productions, you're losing hundreds and hundreds of jobs. And that's what it is when there's cuts to any public broadcaster anywhere. It's people losing their jobs.
True, and that's always unfortunate, but you do know this. More than half the jobs that are going to be lost at the CBC over the coming few years, more than half of them were going to be cut, even if we didn't touch the budget of the CBC. These were plans that were being made internally in the CBC, regardless of the federal budget. You should know that. And second, you know, by also merging things, when I became Heritage Minister 4 years ago, the CBC had 8 unions. Today there are 5. By merging the talent and also finding the best talent and having them work across different platforms, I think the CBC has managed to find the best and have them, you know, have that talent be used on different shows and different platforms and in both official languages. I think that's an important barrier to break down.
Do you share the same view of the arts that you think the Prime Minister does?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, he does. Look, you know, the Prime Minister's a big fan of the arts. He plays music all the time. He goes to movies very often in Ottawa. He sneaks out and...
he doesn't actually go to, like, the local Cineplex, does he?
He does.
Come on.
He does. Yes.
So that dude in the half Calgary Flames, half Toronto Maple Leafs hat is the Prime Minister.
No. Flames, Leafs, and then I've squeezed in a quarter Canuck representation.
You have, right?
Indeed. No, he does. He's a huge movie buff, and as a matter of fact, I'm always impressed because I think I know movies, and I sort of wheel out a little bit of trivia. Or, you know, you try to slide in a reference here and there to, you know, to try to impress the boss a little bit. But he knows Canadian culture, Canadian films.
He watches
incredibly
Canadian films.
Well. Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, well, he's come to our movie nights that we have in Ottawa. You know, he's seen Starbuck and Monsieur Lazare, Quebec films, you know, that we've showed in Ottawa as well. And, you know, he was there for 1 week, and no, he likes Canadian film, absolutely.
So, I mean, there is this perception out there that you are the defender of the arts in that cabinet. Is that accurate?
I think, well, I knew you were going to frame a question that way, which is that, so then in the sense that, because you kind of screw me with the question a little bit there.
No. I said there is a perception that because you ask anybody. I mean, I've been in this business for 20 years in this country, and I see people criticize not just your party, but they criticize any heritage minister. But there's a real reticence to criticize James Moore. Right, because they look at you as a guy who kind of cares.
Let me check my Twitter account. I don't know that's quite true, but
well, trust me, I hear you.
But no, look, the way I say that, you know, the question is a little bit torqued is this way. The assumption is I have to defend the arts against my government. That's not true. Our government is full of people who are passionate about arts and culture and believe very much in the importance of culture. I would phrase it maybe this way. When I first became Heritage Minister just over 4 years ago, they said a few things to me. The one is they said, you know, increase funding if you can, but don't cut us, please, you know, because this is an important part of our local identity, national identity, and our economy. Second thing is make the application process a little less bureaucratic because we're small organizations and we struggle to keep things going. The third thing is that they've asked for is they said we would like somebody in Ottawa to be a champion, somebody to stand up and speak for the arts and make the argument. But the argument to me is, I think, really easy to make. Arts and culture is $46 billion in the Canadian economy, counts for over 640,000 Canadian jobs. The arts sector in Canada is 3 times the size of Canada's insurance industry. Yeah. It's twice the size of Canada's forest industry. And any government who says they want to build the economy without building a strong arts sector doesn't have a plan for a strong economy.
But the reason why people have the perception that you would have to defend yourself is because you hear phrases coming out like regular Canadians aren't into these sorts of things. And we've heard we've seen the tape of them calling this event a gala and just trying to divide regular Canadians versus artists. That's why people have that perception.
I suppose. I mean, you know, the Junos call it the gala. So, I mean, it's not. That's not a shot to call it gala.
You can say gala and you can say gala. There's ways to say it, right? Okay.
I'll leave the subtleties to you, but no, I think supporting culture is a good thing. It's good for local, there's a bunch of community festivals going across this country, and I have, the Port Moody Film Festival Society. It's a tiny group of people, about 4 or 5 people. They put on Canadian films in downtown Port Moody in a francophone mood. They showed Monsieur Lazare, right, phenomenal film. They showed that in Port Moody in front of an audience of about 15 people, and they asked for a little bit of support. So we give them a couple $100 so they can rent the theater for the night. Right. Bring in some school kids who are really passionate about film, and it's good. It's a good investment.
Do you think about the idea that you are the minister? Do you have to have, you're the public face, so you have to go and then talk to some of these communities that feel like they got their funding cut in one respect? How do you feel about, just on a human level, being that guy?
Well, look, there's a saying as well that you ought to feel as equal compassion for those who are no longer getting funding as you also have to feel compassion for taxpayers who also have a sense that there needs to be a sense of reciprocity as well. That the cultural organizations also have I think an obligation to understand that because they've received government funding, they shouldn't always receive government funding. So we've made some decisions. I've made some decisions that some people don't agree with. But I just hope that at the end of the day, when I talk about my political career in the past context, that the people recognize that I have really tried to make sure communities understand that Stephen Harper and our government do believe in the value of arts and culture. We are trying to make decisions that are good for arts and culture. We had the Canada Arts Coalition is a group of local artists, local people who have invested their heart and soul into their craft of the performing arts and music and theater and dance, and they came together and they came to Ottawa on their own dime, and came to Ottawa and said, we know the budget's coming up, you've just been elected in a majority situation, here's what we would like to have in the budget. And their first request, number 1 ask of the government was, don't touch the Canada Council of the Arts. It's a brilliant organization, arm's length, peer-reviewed, they do a phenomenal job in protecting culture. I took that recommendation to the Prime Minister and to Jim Flaherty, and the Prime Minister, Stephen Harper, said, we believe in the Canada Council, let's protect that funding.
So you present, they said they come to each department and ask you to come up with some scenarios. Are you happy with what the government came back to, the Prime Minister and
with regard to culture?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it's a good mix. The CBC angle, I know it's a frustration, for you and those at the CBC, and it's perfectly a human reaction. But I think if you look at the sweep of everything that we did, no cuts to our national museums, no cuts to local museums or galleries, protecting direct funding for artists, protecting the Canada Council for the Arts. Yes, a cut to the CBC. We did cut some funding for library and archives and telefilm, but telefilm and the NFB, for example, have embraced digital technologies in ways that were never foreseen, and they've had a phenomenal success as a consequence of that, and they can actually do with a little bit less, and they'll be just fine. The idea is to find savings that are responsible, that don't impact the core capacity of those organizations to deliver what Canadians have come to expect. When I sat down, with the president of the CBC, Hubert Lacroix, and I said, if there's a 10% reduction in the CBC's budget, will you be able to deliver all of your obligations under the Broadcast Act and to continue forward with your plan for 2015? 2015 plan, by the way, is a very simple way of saying all Canadian content on the CBC, which should absolutely be the case, staying in the regions, not having big empires in the biggest cities, but staying in the regions, connecting Canadians, as we just talked about, making sure that we have digitization of it, and also protecting the official language footprint.
Sticking around more with the honourable member, James Moore, after this.
At 24, he's had little work experience.
The fact that you're younger, you can work harder and have that commitment and work a lot harder than people who have family commitments and other things that they have to do.
Today is not about Western anger against Liberals, about wins and losses and campaign strategies. For MP-elect James Moore of Port Moody, Port Coquitlam, after 30 days of campaigning, it's all about shoes.
Oh, my feet are killing me, and these shoes are falling apart, You're campaigning, your shoes just come right apart.
We're back here with the Honourable James Moore. That was over 10 years ago. That was like 12 years ago.
The ravages of time.
That's right.
Yeah, I look...
were you 24 there?
I was. I see my body shape hasn't changed, but my hair color has changed. But Yeah, it's funny. I look the exact. It's like Alex P. Keaton, right? Like the exact same way all my life almost.
It's incredible. So I mean, it's been a long time. Well, I think for a lot of people, they think, just like they think all people on the left are one way, they think all people are on the right are the one way. And I mean, you're a member of the Alliance Party, and most people would think that you're actually a progressive conservative in some respects. So within the spectrum of conservatism, I mean, what are the ranges in there?
Well, I mean, like the Conservative Party of Canada is a big political. I'm a reformer as well. I mean, I proudly work for Preston Manning. I believe in the Reform Party's positions on fiscal responsibility and democratic reform. I'm a proud Westerner. I thought the West had been ignored for a very long time by Central and Eastern Canada, and I proudly assert Western that Western presence in Ottawa. I thought was a good part of my involvement with the Reform Party and the Canadian Alliance. But I'm a conservative. I mean, I'm a small C conservative. I believe in lower taxes and less government, personal freedom and responsibility. Within that broad phrase and that sentiment is certainly areas of disagreement, but no, I'm a conservative.
As you ascended to this position, did you have an idea of what you wanted to get out of this government, like what you wanted to get out of government? You're 24, so yeah. We don't know anything when we're 24.
Well, no, this is true. When you first run for office, of course, you're full of vim and vinegar, and you're sure vim. Yes.
I could have sworn it was something else.
That's the PG version of things. Yes, the very PG version. I can do. Yeah, we're not the NC-17 show yet, but you're full of energy and you're sure about things. But what you realize is there is black and there is white, but there's also 1,000 shades of gray, and that's more often than not where answers to difficult questions are found. But no, but on some issues, clearly, I am black and white, and I am quite conservative. Yeah, I mean, I believe in free trade. I believe in free markets as solutions to most problems, not all problems. I very much believe in our government's track record on law and order as well.
Do you think you can have cuts to the NFB, telefilm, to a degree CBC, and also even things like Katimavik, and not have an impact on our identity?
For sure. No question, because I don't think Canada is strong because the government is strong. I don't think Canada is strong because the government is bigger. I don't think government spending makes the country stronger. I think smart government, effectively run, contributes to a healthier country. But I think the country is healthier on its own. I mean, none of those things that you described, not one of those things, existed prior to 1932, and this country was incredibly strong then and is stronger now. Some of these programs, by the way, have had real failures and have misspent taxpayers' money, and they also can be run more efficiently. I mean, it's not quite so simple to say spend more, better result. Spend smarter, manage better, better result.
What's the next portfolio do you want? I mean, you've done this for a while, so do you sit around and go, you know what, I want that job? I know you can't say that, but is there a portfolio where you think that you'd be... You're not looking at Peter.
On question number 2.
You're not looking. Well, I don't know. Are you looking at Peter MacKay and the Jets going? Let me tell you. Here's how I would handle it. No, but is there another area that you'd like to explore? Just in your own political interests and cultural interests.
I'm more than pleased in being the Minister of Canadian Heritage, and within Heritage, there are a couple of projects. I think going into 2017, which is Canada's 150th birthday, there are a number of initiatives that we're going to be announcing in the coming little while that will keep me incredibly busy. That will, I think, lead this country in a very healthy way, recognizing our history, celebrating our future.
2017. Yeah. That's at least another election.
But the idea is, well, yeah, we'll see. But the thing is, you try to set in motion things that can't be turned back. Yeah. So that's the goal, is to, as we head towards 2017, have a great program that'll celebrate Canadian culture, arts, unity, and our past as we head towards our 150th.
How are you adapting to married life? It's new for you.
It's going great. I'm the winner, I can promise you, in this exchange in every way. My wife is, I met my wife a couple of years ago, as a matter of fact, on Parliament Hill, and we were married just after Christmas. And forget running for office, forget the opportunity of being Heritage Minister. To say that I am Courtney's husband is the honor of my life.
Spoken like a guy who's only been married for a handful of months.
Yes, however, her mother and father loved each other until the day her father just recently passed away. My mother and father died, or loved each other until the day my mom died when I was 16, and so we have great role models in both parents and loving each other forever.
Losing your mother young has a huge impact on any child,
Yeah.
When you went through it, like, what do you remember the most, like the biggest impact on you, aside from, losing your mom?
Well, between then and now, I'm 35 now, and I was 16 then, almost 17. The truth is, I have 2 older sisters. We've actually never really fought. I think that's sort of the benefit of that, is that we sort of recognize the preciousness and the shortness of life. But I also recognize, a personal confession here is that I wasn't as good a son as I should have been when she died. I could have been better, and I regret the way in which I acted very much like a selfish 16-year-old, and I wasn't there as much as I should have been for her when she was passing away, and I very much regret that. And so I try to take every moment now that I have with my sisters and my dad and now my wife and my nieces and enjoy those as much as I can, because I wasn't as good a son as I should have been. I was a typical selfish 16-year-old, and it's the great regret of my life, and I try to fix it.
You were 16. You were a kid.
I could have been better. But I don't beat myself up too much about it, but you say the lesson, that's a lesson for sure. And sometimes you experience that by going through darkness, thinking back, say, man, I really missed the opportunity to say goodbye when I could have. I missed that opportunity to let her know how much that I know that she loves me. Forget saying that you love her. Yeah. You can say that 1,000 times, but I think when somebody's passing away, to give them the assurance when they know that their sun is about to set, to make sure that they know, Mom, I know that you love me, just so you know that I know that you do. I missed that opportunity, and I regret that. But who knows, maybe she's watching.
She probably is.
We'll
She'll
see.
be proud of you. Good to see you, man.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
The Honorable James Moore. We'll be right back.
You got deep.